All right. I hope you guys are ready for a freaking crap show. Where to begin? All right. So I'm a combat veteran, 11 Bravo, deployed the 173rd to Logar Province, Afghanistan, and then I was in the 101st and got my combat infantry badge. Whatever. I used to be a brand ambassador for Grunt Style. Grunt Style actually was, without my permission, using one of my pictures for their advertising. And when I saw that, being that I liked Grunt Style, instead of taking the correct course of action and saying, hey guys, how about cut that out? I was like, hey, why don't you guys, why don't I just be a brand ambassador for you guys and we'll scratch each other's back. So I did that for a little while. And then when Grunt Style did their whole publicity thing, mourning the death of John McCain, I publicly called them out. I called them and told them that we would be canceling any of our future relations and to no longer use any of my images, which they continued to do so. Anyways, so the reason that that's worth saying is I used to be into this whole moto thing a little bit. Grunt Style, 9-line apparel, Black Rifle Coffee. I thought it was all good stuff. I thought wrong. I still need to do a follow-up video on what happened at Grunt Style. There was a lot of firing of veterans over there, and their entire product line shifted from veteran apparel for grunts, which is an infantryman, to some kind of veteran lifestyle. And this veteran lifestyle is what these companies are making their money on, not actually veterans. They're not actually, they're not actually acting as veterans. They're trying to sell that they're one of the boys. They're not. They're just trying to make money off of the image of veterans, and they'll throw a couple bones to veterans to help themselves perpetuate that image. I actually had to make a to-do list here. Brovit mentality, it's a bad deal. Rob Call, you are correct. I'll talk about that in a second. So just to clarify, I am drinking the one and only freaking drink of the military, of the infantry, of the army, whatever. The only, veteran refreshment, water. That's your veteran drink right there. So, all right. So, I said probably 6 months, maybe a year ago, publicly, that I didn't really think that Black Rifle Coffee was actually pro 2A. You look at their marketing, of course, they have a bunch of guns and pew-pew in their marketing. So does Hollywood. But I never once saw them actually do anything for the Second Amendment community, or they never used their platform or their influence to help through any of the huge Second Amendment battles. What's up, Ghost Tactical? Battles that we've had recently, okay? Everybody check out Ghost Tactical, by the way. Okay. I said this a long time ago. It was brought to my attention recently that, I was correct about that whole situation. Black Rifle Coffee had some degree of fallout with the Blaze because the Blaze said something along the lines of the drink of freedom, Black Rifle Coffee with Kyle Rittenhouse. I don't know. Black Rifle Coffee wanted to separate themselves from freaking the Blaze because they were talking about Kyle Rittenhouse. And if you live under a rock, 17-year-old, I think, kid smoked a couple thugs who were attacking him, and and one of them was a pedophile, the other was a felon. Dirtbags, right? The people that needed to be smoked so they don't clog up the judicial system. And he smoked them with an AR-15, which it makes it like one of the only shootings freaking ever with an AR-15, and it was done in self-defense and publicized and everything like that. This is a huge Second Amendment thing to get behind. And so Evan Hafer comes out and to make a statement about why he's not a dirty communist, and says, oh, we just wanted to distance ourselves from that situation because we don't want to profit on tragedy. If you are a veteran who actually cares about your oath and who wants to defend the Constitution against enemies foreign and domestic, then smoking a couple thugs and felons with an AR-15 and winning in a judicial system and winning a fight for the Second Amendment is a win. It's not a tragedy. There is no tragedy when bad guys die. It's not sad. In fact, we are not supposed to celebrate the dying of evil people, but let's take a moment to appreciate the fact that this registered pedophile will not be able to go and continue being a pedophile. We can celebrate the fact that no more children will be raped because that dude got smoked. Okay? So there is no tragedy. What an absolute worm of a man to talk about freaking not wanting to make profit off of tragedy. So, all right. And he's asking why we're talking about pedophiles, because one of the people that Kyle Rittenhouse smoked was a pedophile. This is what all of this is. Black Rifle Coffee trying to separate themselves from Kyle Rittenhouse and the Blaze. All right. So this is not a tragedy. There's nothing tragic about it. This is actually something that companies like Black Rifle Coffee should be personally supporting. They should be personally sending Black Rifle Coffee dollars to Kyle to help him in his legal defense. All right. So, but then we have to do a little bit of digging here, and some things were sent to me. First name, pay attention and be patient. Maybe oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, so then we find out that this Evan guy has donated to John McCain. And I'm like, hold up now. John McCain is the absolute communist that is the reason that I separate from grunt style in the first place. And by the way, everybody who didn't separate from grunt style, everybody who was like, oh, it's kind of screwed up, but we want to stay with grunt style because they wanted to make their money. They had a good thing going. They're like, we're just going to stay with them, man. It's not that big of a deal. Yeah, grunt style kicked all of them like 4 months later. So good job. You could have actually said something. You had an opportunity to actually stand up for what you believe in, but you don't actually believe in it that much, do you? Okay, so I was like, whoa. He financially supported John McCain. And then I found out he's using Black Rifle Coffee. First name, I'm reading the questions, but I'm trying to get this out here. He's using Black Rifle Coffee money to donate to Obama. He later says that it was a bet. So what kind of a person takes an oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, bet with his veteran friends, I bet you won't support Obama, and sends cash to Obama? Now, allegedly, he also supported Biden in the most recent election here. I haven't found proof of that yet. It wouldn't surprise me a bit. And then there's 9line. All right. 9line gets on his little video, which is just slimy as crap, and is like, we support you 100%, and so does 9line Apparel. The whole bro vet thing. So let's get into honor. What is honorable about being a soldier? Because serving your country is not honorable. Hitler served his country. Freaking, I'm getting irritated and I'm forgetting stuff. Freaking Osama bin Laden served his country. There's nothing honorable about serving your country. The honor in being an American veteran is standing up for the Bill of Rights and protecting it against all enemies, foreign and domestic. You're not supporting a corrupt country. You're supporting an ideology, a timeless ideology where a government made an unchanging document to defend existing human liberties. It didn't make it law. Our rights do not come from the Bill of Rights. They already existed. And the Bill of Rights was created to restrict the government and protect individual liberties that already existed, regardless of what the law is. That is the job to defend. Okay, Mike Hunt. Dan Crenshaw is the modern-day John McCain, antithesis of Americanism. Yes, he is. The problem is the devil's in the details, and all of these people want to look like they're pro-2A and look like they're conservatives. If you watch my last video, just because you support gun ownership does not make you pro-Second Amendment. Being pro-Second Amendment is a conservative, traditional value in America. So people want to say that they're pro-Second Amendment, whether they're pro-Second Amendment or not, just because they couldn't ever say that they didn't support the Second Amendment. But guess what? If you support any gun control law at all, any taxation, any licensing, anything, any restriction for a person, you are anti-Second Amendment. Scott, yes, same as the NRA. So the problem is people don't think about this. And I just did a video, Second Amendment for Dummies. And we'll go back and I'm going to do number 2 that's more educational and less whatever. But by diluting the definition of the Second Amendment, by having people that don't know what First Name said, I don't want my neighbors to have an artillery cannon. They are crazy. Bro, if you're worried about your neighbors having an artillery cannon, have a bigger artillery cannon or start learning about how to avoid artillery. Liberty and responsibility are directly correlated. Because you don't want your neighbor to have an artillery cannon, our government has made you a slave. And they will continue to slowly up the level of enslavement on you because they've made you afraid of your neighbor. So you can be pro-gun and anti-Second Amendment. Now, nobody needs to hold vets accountable more than other vets. An oath means nothing if nobody's held accountable. So if our honor comes from the oath that we took when we became soldiers, but nobody holds you accountable for that oath, there is no honor. So the bro vet thing needs to go. And accountability, that whole thing that we're always worried about in the military and as veterans, that needs to make a comeback here. We need to hold politicians accountable, but we especially need to hold other veterans accountable because clearly veterans can't get anything done if we can't even come together? And we can't come together if we're inundated with a bunch of bootlicking communists. Matt Best. I don't know him personally. I knew some people, a guy that served with him. But guess what, dude? Not only are you in bed with communists, but you're doing more damage to the military and the image of the military by making it a frat party and all about whiskey and tits than good. That's it. So, Matt Best, 9-Line Apparel, Black Rifle Coffee, it doesn't matter whether you hire 50 veterans or 500 veterans. Being a veteran is not honorable. And if you are a veteran, you know at least 100 dirtbags who either got kicked out of the military or should have got kicked out of the military and probably should have went to prison because they're scumbags. Does that make them honorable just because they're veterans now? They'll claim to be honorable. They'll put veteran all over everything, and every Veterans Day, they'll post pictures of themselves in uniform and talk about how bro-vet they are. But in reality, they probably should have been curb stomped for being dirtbags. And they're still dirtbags. They're just dirtbags who wear a uniform every freaking Veterans Day and go get their free meals and don't know the difference between Veterans Day and Memorial Day and don't know what the Second Amendment is. We have an entire military of people who swore an oath to defend the Constitution against enemies, foreign and domestic, and they don't know who the enemies of the Constitution are, and they don't know what the crap the Constitution's about. First Name just asked how I feel about firearms restriction near airports. Airports should be private organizations, so they should be able to make their own rules to some degree. However, if they make any legislation requiring people to be disarmed, then they should be personally responsible for all of the people that they disarm, and any act of violence that happens on their property, they should be held legally and personally liable. They should have a law requiring them to have a certain number of armed security guards per customers. Maybe one for every 10. Because guess what? If I am stripped of my right to defend myself on your property, and then I get freaking screwed, it's your fault. But it doesn't work like that, does it? In fact, the insurance companies that insure these places rob people of their gun rights. Why can't I go to an airport with no ID and a load of guns and get on an airplane? First Name, yes, blind and deaf people are allowed to own firearms. I don't even know what's going on right now with some of the, but let's talk about cancel culture. Because with an absolute lack of anything good to say for himself with Evan, Mr. Black Rifle Coffee and 9-Line Apparel, they all want to complain about cancel culture. So he has no real way to support himself or what he's done. And just like any liberal or anybody else, the first thing that they're going to do to defend themselves when they have no way to defend themselves is label something that their opponent is doing, and in doing so, they get a rallying cry, and it has a bad whatever. Oh, it's just cancel culture. This cancel culture is bullcrap. Blah 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 blah. No, cancel culture is what any moral person is doing. Freaking complacency culture is the problem. A culture of financially supporting those who would enslave you is boundlessly stupid and immoral. The only way that a moral person can freaking do business is through cancel culture. When someone freaking stands against something that you are absolutely morally opposed to, if you go and you give them your money, you're a moron. And this is getting really difficult, because almost every big company out there is evil. And when you stop and you think about it, how did, I started being against freaking Black Rifle Coffee a long time ago. I started kind of opening my eyes to this, but I still understand why people drink their coffee. That's fine. But I started kind of being against them for a long time ago. And so I started finding microbrews and this and that and the other. But once I started thinking that really they don't support the Second Amendment, and I started seeing how big they were getting, you kind of put two and two together. How does a coffee company come out of nowhere and afford the infrastructure and the logistics and the advertisement required to get as big as Black Rifle Coffee? Did they just get lucky? Did they just do everything right, hire all the right people, advertise in all the right places? Because lots of veteran-owned coffee companies existed before them. Kind of like the veteran-owned t-shirt company. That used to be a big thing. Hundreds of small veteran-owned t-shirt companies. One of them was from one of my, a guy that I deployed with, Inkfidel, and Bell. I don't remember his first name, but he was at freaking Baraki Barak, Logar Province, Afghanistan, which I think means he was a scout. But I bought shirts from him just because... I don't buy expensive shirts, but I was like, I wanted to support them, small veterans company. Grunt Style came around. They're a little more edgy, and I liked that. So I bought from Grunt Style, and then Grunt Style exploded. Lo and behold, they fire all their veterans and become just another company selling race car shirts and golfer shirts and hunting shirts. The crap is this? I hope that freaking Zero Foxtrot doesn't go that route. I actually bought a Black Rifle Coffee handmade mug, one of their really expensive mugs, back when I was like wanting to support them and my local shop that sold it. Zero Foxtrot sells mugs that say freaking kill commies, death to commies. By the way, I'm a veteran-owned business. Beach and Tactical, I designed a rifle sling in Afghanistan, and Exodus Knife and Tool, my knives, and guess what? I advertise where I stand as a Christian and where I stand with frickin' commies. Because I took this oath, right? And commies are the enemy of individual liberty. The very concept of putting the community or the commune before the individual is the enemy of liberty. So, my business shirt says, I hate communists. I'll have a new shirt pretty soon that says communists aren't people. I'm hoping that Zero Foxtrot is the same and they actually believe the stuff that's on their stuff and they don't just end up being a bunch of Fruit Loops. If you guys find out otherwise, let me know. I'll contact them myself and try and get them on the phone. Maybe we'll do a podcast. Maybe they're actual patriots. But anyways, Grunt Style comes in. All the small veteran-owned t-shirt companies disappear, and they get the entire market. They dominate the whole market, and then they drop all of their edgy shirts, all of their edgy designs, all of their grunt-inspired stuff, and they completely go flaccid. So my friend works for 9line Apparel. And, I'm glad that he's got a job. But that doesn't... Hiring veterans, the government hires veterans. Who's more anti-veteran than the government? All of this stuff is just a bunch of crap to get sales. What they are doing is they are making money and taking advantage of veterans. So I lose business for promoting my beliefs, because if you hate Christians and God, I don't need your sale. If you hate morality or the American way of, I donate knives to Knife Rights, Doug Ritter and Knife Rights, and I want to start donating more to them. And I made a post about it, and this guy was like, I'm so sick of seeing this flag waving bull crap and putting you on blast and getting all my money back. Cool, dude. I canceled his order. I don't care about you and your order. Like, if the fact that I donate to Knife Rights to help the Second Amendment, because believe it or not, knives are just as much under attack and just as much supported under the Second Amendment as firearms. If that hurts your feelings, bro, I'm not going to act like I care. I'm not going to get on my knees and grovel for your freaking sale. First name, I don't buy Benchmade knives anymore. I've got videos about it. I was supposed to make another video from Benchmade's absolutely, utterly pathetic video that they did. So, you know, it is what it is, man. Freaking commies need to be called out. Everybody thinks that Matt Best is the idea of a high-speed veteran. And he might have been high speed, but if he didn't care about his oath, then he's not honorable. And so some douchebag who makes millions of dollars making jokes about whiskey and tits and shooting guns isn't honorable because he served. And in fact, the fact that he served and that's how he makes his living now is in itself further dishonorable. The bro vet thing has got to go. It's pathetic. Accountability needs to be in. The problem is everybody wants to talk about cancel culture or this or that or the other thing. Accountability. I know we live in an age of participation trophies and nobody wants accountability, and literally everybody is doing anything that they can do to escape accountability. But that's what we freaking need. And veterans are the first people who should be holding other veterans accountable. And if all veterans held each other accountable, then veterans could hold politicians accountable. And we wouldn't have some of these laws. And then civilians wouldn't have to you wouldn't have to deal with this, because veterans would take care of it. But instead, veterans are fat, dishonorable, they do nothing, they're afraid to say anything, or worse yet, they just buy into it and they become a bunch of bootlicking pro-government lackeys. So, there you go. First name, what do I think about Tops Knives? I think they make a lot of pretty good knives. I think they make a lot of not pretty good knives. Somebody freaking talk some sense into this Evan Fruit Loop. In a past video I talked about, I think I did a video, Are All Veterans Honorable? My LT in Afghanistan was a freaking card-carrying communist married to a Russian wife, traveling to Russia with a Russian visa, Kyle Solar, communist. Said he hates Americans because of people like me, because I believe in the First and Second Amendment. So, it's me, yo. I am in Kentucky as well. Hit me up. Guys, did I miss anything? Let me know before I cut this. I need to freaking get to bed and get to work in the morning. If you guys, a few updates. If you've got Beach and Tactical order in with me, I'm freaking trying to kill it. It's trying to kill me. And Exodus knife and tool orders. If you don't know already, my orange handle knives that oversold are supposed to ship to me Monday from White River Knives. I'll be shipping those out to you guys. I am doing a sale on natural micarta jackalopes and adventure craft knives. So at the end of the day, guys, here's the deal. If you are afraid of your neighbor, the government wins. You should be afraid of the government. The government wants you to be afraid of your neighbor so that you won't be afraid of them. And liberty entails responsibility. Nobody wants responsibility. You are responsible for your own safety. That means that if you are killed, the cops don't take responsibility for it or your family. The politicians don't. The judge doesn't. It's your own responsibility. If you leave your family hungry, it's on you and the criminals. The criminal's fault, but it's your responsibility. So you have a responsibility to be armed, educated, and trained. Because people don't want to be responsible for themselves, and they don't want to be armed, educated, and trained, they try to pass off that responsibility to the government. And the government says, oh, we'll take more and more of your responsibility. What the government is doing, they're not taking any responsibility for anything. When you send your kids off to public school and they get shot, when you're grieving, do you think the school freaking cares? Is the principal going to take responsibility for the safety of your children? You're literally knowingly sending your children to be educated in a place that takes no responsibility for their well-being and does not protect your children. Because it's easier and you can make more money that way, right? So BC Limited, t-shirt company that I want to start talking to, or I want to buy some shirts from, makes some freaking really cool shirts. You guys should look them up. One of them says, "Comfort wants you dead." That's about as simple and straightforward as it gets. Comfort wants you dead. The government is offering you comfort, and pretty much what you're selling yourself into slavery, and more importantly, your children, because you just want an easy and comfortable life. I'm not innocent. I got a mortgage on this house. I wish I didn't. You know, you can't have two masters. Not supposed to be in debt, but here I am. You know, I'm gonna have to figure out how we're gonna homeschool our kids and not send them to freaking public. By the way, it's not public school. Not anyone can go to public school. You have to follow all of their guidelines to go to public school, don't you? It's government school. I should probably do a video on that. All right. You have a good night. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you have a blessed day. Freaking screw commies.